look to them to see what they've done.
Yeah.
You know, how have you guys done language access? How much did it cost? The there's I met one of the ladies from oh, shoot, what is the city right at the bottom of Lake Michigan? Uh, Indiana, but it's not Chicago. It's
Gary.
connected.
Gary?
Gary, I think it might have been Gary. And it was very interesting to talk to her because she was the city representative for this initiative, these initiatives.
Uh-huh.
And it was like she was very conversant on what her immigrants were doing in that part of the world, right? And she's like right next door, in essence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 2 to 3 hours away is a neighbor.
Sure.
So
Well, and the other benefit is just to create more of a culture of welcome and spread that culture. I mean, I'm looking and saying Dallas, Texas. Texas is so anti-immigrant. There's Dallas.
yeah. And actually, the woman from Dallas, if I remember right, she's a Brazilian, the one that's heading up the work, and she is like, you know, she's running from city government, like reporting to the mayor kind of stuff. Very, very active. The politics of it were such that she was highly visible. And what she brought to her presentation was full support.
Wow.
Because, like you said, Texas wouldn't have that. So this is as of 2022 the 17 cities that were at that level. But now Welcoming America is saying certified welcoming is more tricky to designate than it is. So what they've done is they have started a stratified, and maybe it'll come here unless it's a new website.
Yeah.
Now what they'll do, it's not going to show it to us because it's in pilot, but what we're participating in is a pilot of the whole program in which instead of being one designation, you're certified to level 2 or to level 4, up to level 5, such that you can have a goal to work towards, but a recognition for where you are.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So we will be part of that pilot, and our designation here at Champaign will be that much. And I saw the list of the people being interviewed. They're not just Champaign people. It's a group of, you know, from United Way to the health department to other people to see that whose area is more than the city of Champaign. For me, that's part of the big gain of both Welcoming Plan and the demographic report. You can't separate the, you know, especially for immigrants, the line between Urbana and Champaign is non-existent. They go where they can find a job or a cheap rent or whatever else, if you're talking about the lower income immigrants. But I would argue the same for the university people. They're immigrants too, often, and they have to figure out the same things. And if you have a spouse at home, you know, they're not going to work, but what can they do while their visa changes or whatever else? It's tough. So, anyway, that's good news. It's happening this week.
Yeah.
And it is part of the long range plan of our area becoming more welcoming and identifying weak and strong areas.
Yeah, that's going to be really good. I'm assuming they're going to issue like an actual report that we can get a copy of, right? So they'll say you're good at this. This wasn't so good.
Yeah.
This, you know, yeah, that's going to be very helpful.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Tomorrow, the News Gazette. I just heard because they wanted more info than I could provide. They wanted to put it out. So tomorrow there should be a News Gazette article on the process And I thought it was very forward of them when they call and they heard about it, they wanted to put something out, but right now there isn't much to put out until we get a report back, right?
Right.
So we get what the results of the audit are. But we can all work towards that, and we can address each other. Hey guys, can you do this part? We do this part, and
Hmm.
mesh again.
Yeah, at least it'll give us something concrete, and it might help inform what we do going forward too.
Right.
Just
Advocacy.
what we want to do or what we try to do,
Yeah.
where to put our focus.
Well, I have one more good news.
Okay.
So you guys know about the welcoming plan. We've been part of that process for a few years now.
Yeah.
But this the call had gone out, and I don't know if I had put it out very well, but since we last talked, Viodelda Burtz, who used to be in the Champaign School District, is now the welcoming plan coordinator.
Uh-huh.
So we have a dedicated person full time
Oh, okay.
on helping everybody get together for the welcoming plan.
Oh, that's
It's been
good.
a little over a year that we launched it, and there's things moving, but we hadn't put up a website. We hadn't done many things. And Gloria's been quite busy. You know, it's been a hard year for a lot of reasons, and so they hadn't gotten to it. But now they've hired somebody to do it, and it's being sponsored by both City of Champaign and New American Welcome Center.
Hmm. That sounds great.
So, yeah, so Viodelda,
Consider
I mean, this is the ramp up time now for it, because
Mhm.
we'll have somebody. The designation is going through, but the plan is, as you know, a long range plan, 5 to 10 years
Mhm.
on becoming welcoming. And I'm hoping that what drives from that is we identify the concrete needs, and we say it would cost this much to have a city office or county office, or actual people with the actual tasks, and we say it'll cost $250,000 a year. Let's go hunt for that money.
Hmm.
Create the infrastructure for it for the long run, rather than having a grant that goes up and down and kills. It limits long-term planning. So we'll see. So for me, that's really great progress, because the communities of practice, and Viodelda used to be part of one of those. It was, if you will, a hire from within, from someone who was highly involved. And those communities of practice are growing. It's the same work. What are they called? Work clubs, work sections that are in the welcoming plan.
Hmm.
And each one of them has, we had the health, we had the education, we had those, and it's their job, 5 to 10 people on each one of those things, to gather and question those people in that sector as to what is needed, what are the priorities, and just share those needs amongst
Mhm.
themselves.
Sounds good.
So,
That is good news.
Yeah, you have lots of good news.
yeah, I mean, it's gelling while I'm away. That's one of my beautiful benefits, is I get to find out we started this stuff, 10 years ago,
Yeah,
but it's grown much beyond us.
it sure has.
We were part of the root.
Planted the seeds,
Yeah.
but they grow up on their own. Yeah, it's. I remember it was just an idea in the beginning. Very much just kind of, hey, it would be kind of cool to do this and be involved with this, and maybe we could come up with some awards or do something. It's just very, very small, and it's really
Yeah.
become something. I like the way the Y has taken that challenge and really run with it.
Yeah.
That's been an incredible thing.
Yeah, they have gone. I don't think they even expected that they would get this far with it, right?
Uh-huh.
At the beginning, it was employees of the Y becoming involved and becoming informed, and then eventually officers here, and then uh, and then forming the welcoming center.
Yeah, I don't care who does it, just as long as it gets done. You know,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be a footnote in history if I did one little push in the right moment at the right time to the right person. That's great. You know, I don't care. Hmm,
Well,
very
I
cool.
did have one question I emailed to you guys. Uh,
Uh,
the religious, you know, we have,
Oh, right.
you know, immigration from a religious slant. We've talked amongst ourselves in different ways, but we've never done a program like we did, like, let's say, 40 months ago or maybe 50 months ago, when the Immigration Forum organized with different churches to put out an ad in the News Gazette.
yeah.
Uh, remember?
I
So
vaguely remember it on the News Gazette side. I vaguely remember something coming out, but
I remember
we
doing
did,
it. Yeah.
what does each religion believe on immigration?
Hmm.
And Megan, I think, was the one that drew it up with his big dove and the saying of each church or each denomination. And of course, and it was all positive, and so we put money together to publish it like on a Sunday on the News Gazette or something.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's been a long time. Number one. Number two, churches have gone a little quiet, probably just as confused as everybody else. But on the other hand, I don't think their resolve has gotten any smaller.
Yeah, I'm not really in tune with what churches are doing about anything, but yeah, I think that during the Trump years, it was really easy for everybody, at least in the sense that you had a very specific, identifiable something to push back on. You know, this somebody was trying really hard to do this. We therefore must push back against that. Now it's so vague as to, you know, who's doing what. There's still bad things going on, but it's hard to identify an enemy and say this is the person that's doing something bad that we need to, you know, organize against. So I think everybody, to a certain extent, has gone a little quiet just because it's hard to know what to say, what to complain about.
But just like the article that Carolyn sent us, let me see if I can bring it up, uh, which is a follow up or expansion of something that I had started on the line just as a thought. Let me see if it shows.
what did I send? I think I sent something on detention.
Is that showing the NPR article?
Yes.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, as I read it, I mean, this is broader, but at the same time, I think it's, you know, let's not say religion, let's say Christians.
Uh-huh.
Christians and immigration and Christians, you know. You remember this, Carolyn?
Yes. Because you had sent out that one little like poster thing. And then I
Yeah.
happened to catch this when I was just listening to the news and I thought, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And then I put my own little commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think my thinking was just it had come up with Pope Francis
Mm-hmm.
being kinder, and he's done that recently on immigrants, but also on on uh, LGBT.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he's been a lot more outspoken, uh, and
and like his stop in Hungary was very, I don't know if that was really recent or anyhow, there was a thing that he was stopping in Hungary and Hungary wanted him to stay longer, and it wasn't a very long trip because Hungary's pretty anti-immigrant.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thought is, there is impetus within the churches, and we locally we have not talked about it. We have not pulled together. We used to have the Allies of Faith, and that's why I was thinking about good old Claire, because she was our rep at the Campus Ministers Union, or I forget what it's called, but and she would report back on that. But to put ourselves or to put the topic on their agenda again might be a good thing, especially because as the Biden group gets together, and it is likely that the issue will come again as part of the election.
Yeah.
Presidential election. And I guess that's this fall it starts. Kind of scary.
It's already kind of started. But
yeah. So this is going to be a point of contention, but if we start carving out the space and especially get our churches to stake their ground, again, we want to fill the airwaves with positive things. Good church people are supportive of caring for other human beings.
Yeah, it might not be a bad idea to get people sort of on record now before it becomes a political issue, or it's turned into, or somebody tries to make it one. If you get them to speak out now, it's a little harder for them to change their tune later on. So yeah, that's not a bad idea.
And later it could be a liability, but now it's just one of our principles.
Yeah, we
right?
believe this. X is something that we believe in. It's part of our faith. Yeah, I don't have any connections in that area, but I can work on it with somebody if they want some help.
What do you think, Carolyn? You think we could make it a topic of this program once and then use that either to invite somebody? We know we have ministers have changed, but the especially the attitude of certain congregations, and we probably have half a dozen congregations that are very positive, and getting them to air out, or maybe even invite they can invite other congregations, right? They can invite their peers to do a next step. I'm thinking right now, our Jewish friends are active, and the UUs are active. Uniplace used to be more active, and the Quakers used to be more active, but the Mennonites have been still active. Your congregation, Carolyn, has certainly not let up.
Yeah, we're not active in immigration, but certainly supportive.
Yeah. And then there's a church there, I think it's at the end of Green, on Deep West Champaign, that still has an active presence in Central America.
That's one of the Lutheran churches.
I think so.
Yeah. St. John's, I think, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it is. Ann and his name just went on, Bob, that used to be at Grace, right?
Bob Kirby? No, he's at First Christian.
He's at First Presbyterian.
Sorry, First Presbyterian.
Sorry. There you go. So they're very active too. They've been more than supportive. And so, in a way, they've all become very savvy on helping and integrating immigrants. But I have not heard anything on them being bringing up the topic as an organized way. I think they've each gone their service way. Some of them are supportive of I was going to say Ben's group, but it's not Ben. It's Immigration Services of Champaign County, right? Some of them as congregations, that's where St. Patrick's went. Uh, but it might be nice to invite them, or maybe set up a situation to have it be one of their topics. Uh, the Interministers Council or something that must exist.
Yeah, there's what is the name of that? Interfaith something or other. I'm on that mailing list, although I've not been part of the group. And I think the pastor of the Mennonite Church is now the head of that. What's his name? I know his name. If I could think of it, I'd put it in there. I'm blanking.
Yeah, I am gonna look for it. Yeah, and he was very supportive. The
Yeah,
young man. Yeah.
yeah, and they were actually trying to sponsor somebody a few years ago, and they came close a couple of times, and then the person they were going to sponsor changed their mind because they had a relative in some other city or something. So it never happened, I don't think, but that's not what I wanted to do.
Darn it, I can't get my contact list. It's on my phone.
Michael Crosby.
Michael, that's right. Pastor Michael.
Yeah.
Do you have a relationship with him?
I know him slightly, but not real. I wouldn't say I have a relationship with him. I think he knows who I am, but beyond that, I don't think. I could say.
So, through a friend, I'm gonna try to have Jan Saby.
She's really ill right now.
Oh, is she?
Well, yeah, she's got cancer. A recurrence of cancer.
So I'm gonna, through my friend, I'm gonna try to reach out to Pastor Crosby. He's not showing up in my contacts, but
okay. So it's Interfaith Alliance is what the organization is called. And I can email you his copy.
Yeah, because they're not showing up. If you'll send me a contact, I wouldn't mind. I know that at several times have been with him. And if he's in charge of the group right now, it might be interesting to just bring it up.
Okay.
How are we on time, Mr. Garza?
We're over an hour by quite a few minutes.
Okay.
So this will have to be edited down a bit for the radio. For TV, it should be fine.
All right.
I just sent his email. You might copy Jan too. I know she's battling cancer, and when she told me about it, it didn't sound good, but I think she's still able to go to church, for example. So I would email her though. Well, she's not been responding to texts or emails that I've sent. But I don't know.
Yeah. First Church, right? This is how she shows up on mine.
Is that what I just sent?
No, that's how Jan shows up on mine. But
it's First Mennonite, but yeah, it's fmc-cu.org.
Yeah, he shows up like that too.
Yeah.
So
I have her Gmail address, but she hasn't responded to anything. So I'm not sure.
So I'll just do a quick mail and probe. We know, for all we know, they might be very actively doing other things. They might even have a project this year already. But it might be nice. I would look for the graphic and send it to him and see if he's interested in
the one that we put in a few years ago. Before.
Yeah, I remember big red and yellow or white lettering.
Vaguely remember something, and I'll look through my files to see if I saved it, but I haven't seen it for years.
Yeah.
I would have totally forgotten about it if you hadn't mentioned it.
I just keep thinking that it was not a dead effort. I mean, Allies of Faith in a way turned into what flowered as Immigration Services, right? Or CU
Yes.
Fair. And then
Well,
this.
sort of.
I mean, the group greatly accelerated and went in another direction, but
Mhm.
what I remember is those 6 or 8 that were getting together, congregations were,
Yeah,
were
and
moving forward.
it actually started with a workshop at First Pres, although nobody will say that anymore. But First Pres did a workshop on Syrian refugees back during the time when things were, not that
We're really bad over there.
they got really bad in Syria. And then at that workshop, Luis said, let's continue this and let's keep meeting. So, yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why I love getting together with you guys, because we have a memory of things that should be recorded somewhere, you know, that otherwise get lost and everybody feels like they're starting over.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now, there are deep roots. Most of us are still alive. Claire, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But we still call on you. And it's good. The momentum has only increased with time. It's just that we can't lose all the arms. We used to have several arms that were in parallel, and in a way, we've been taking turns with the arms crawling up.
Mhm.
But to reenact and revive those arms now, as you can see, I'm thinking octopus. Each one of those arms can do more. It's just that we have not been helpful to them necessarily. But there was a time in which I can remember that, you know, the churches were putting together the rallies. We supported them, but they're the ones that did the speakers and everything else. So why not support them again?
Yeah,
We don't have to be protagonists.
sure.
Oh.
I like it.
Excellent. So I guess I can see you guys took a little step back, both of you. So it must be time to end. A pleasure to see you guys.
Yeah,
And
welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. We always have a lot of work to do, but it's very peaceful to be able to do it together without having a pressure that, you know, the echo chamber. I think of something here and this side gets it, and then it comes out of here and then it goes nowhere necessarily.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
you guys would take a step forward. So.
And I'm happy to be to talk about this more because you're the big picture person. I'm not the big picture person. You can see it all, and I'm like, where do I start? What do
Which part is mine? That's where you're good at. You
That's
take
good.
that slice, it's yours. Beautiful.
That's great. All right then.
We'll see you at the next one.